I think I feel more like a pro runner probably even more today than I did yesterday and more than I ever have. Maybe it's starting to maybe sink in a little bit that that's kind of what I am now. But no, it doesn't really feel like I don't feel like a pro runner in the sense that it feels like a job by any means.
This one is holding all the bees there. This one, but the bees don't.
You know, I have a little bit of the sort of peak bagging type mentality of just wanting to kind of go up to the highest point. And that's a really small part of it because I definitely don't have as much of that as I think a lot of people. But also I really like knowing and understanding the land. Especially the land, you know, surrounding an area that I'm living or that I choose to live.
This is Geoff Roes, a 35-year-old ultramarathoner originally from New York State. Though he ran in high school and 1 year of college at Syracuse, he didn't tap his potential until he began running trail ultras in 2006. Roes has been dominating the trail scene since then. As of spring 2011, he's won every 100-miler he's entered, including the hotly contested 2010 Western States 100. Roes and his family, girlfriend Corley LaForce and her daughter Elle, move seasonally between the mountains of Nederland, Colorado, and Juneau, Alaska. His unconventional training regime, more post-holing than pace work, is sculpted by the surrounding landscape. And his racing success seems to be secondary to his real goal, a fluid search for understanding in the mountains.
I probably average like 80 miles a week, generally somewhere between 60 and 120. For the most part, I just go out and run each day, and if I feel good and I have the time on a given day, that's when I'll do my longer, more ambitious runs. And so it's very much by feel. And then I just love to do lots of like slow kind of strength building, endurance building type training with lots of terrain, lots of up and down. And I just pretty much never do like speed specific stuff. I think that it's so important in the longer stuff to manage and to focus on to manage the low points, because you're gonna have these like really extreme low points in almost every race. I mean, I've done, I don't know, 20 ultras now or something, and I don't think I've had one where there wasn't a fairly significant low point at least once during the run. And I think that it's really key to focus on, or to be kind of experienced at and adept at like dealing with those and kind of accepting them as part of it. I don't know, in ultra racing there's times when you feel really good and there's like a high performance aspect to it, but I think that you just build up your general fitness and those moments of races just kind of happen, and you don't have to work to like say, okay, well, if I could make myself just go 5 seconds a mile faster on the moments when I'm feeling really good, I don't know that that's going to have as much of an effect on your race as like maybe the 2 hours in a 100-mile race in which you're feeling really crappy. If you can deal with that, I think that you can reasonably maybe run that stretch, several minutes faster per mile than you might otherwise if you're not prepared for that.
Rather than searching for the runner's high, Roes seems to train to embrace the runner's low.
I'm definitely really aware of how unique, I guess, the terrain around Juneau is for running. I mean, when I first moved here, I was just like, man, this place is not a place to be a runner. There's nowhere to run. It took me like at least a year, maybe 2 years to embrace the type of trails that there are there and look at it as something that was a positive effect on my running. Because the trails around Juneau are just so steep. I mean, it's like Juneau's at sea level and the ridges above town are all like between 3,000 and 5,000 feet. And to get up to them, the trails just go straight up. And then when you're on the ridges, it's this great like alpine open ridge running. But I mean, there's dozens of trails around there that climb at a clip of like, you know, somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 feet per mile. And so it's just like straight up. And initially I was like, oh my gosh, this was a horrible place to move, trying to be a runner. Like, it's just so detrimental to actually being able to run. But as I was like racing more and more, like slowly over time, I just got to this point of being like, wait a minute, I think this is actually really good. Like, you know. I really like a mixture of races. I really like some of the big, like high focus, maybe higher pressure type races, combined with like some really low key races. Like right now, I'm definitely training for Western States, but I'm more excited really, or more focused on the run I'm going to do tomorrow or the next day than Western States specifically. And so then when that race comes around, that'll just be, you know, that's the run at that time that I try to really focus in on. But probably my ability to manage all the kind of intangible, maybe I guess you could say non-running aspects of running, and just managing the low points, and maybe stubbornness to an extent. I think a lot of those factors are what allow anybody to do well in hundreds. And I mean, I don't know if it's been more coincidence or if there's something specific to that distance. I'm definitely proud of it, but I'm also aware that I'm going to lose one at some point. Could be the next one, and I don't care to try to compete at a really high level, right? Like my highest potential for a really long time. I mean, I think it's definitely, I think of myself more as just a runner, and like I enjoy getting out and exploring my surrounding area, and that's definitely my primary interest in running. And so the competitive kind of version of my running is not something I foresee myself doing really long term. I mean, I feel like probably a few more years, but I think I've been kind of telling myself that for a few years already now. So it's like, I think maybe 3 years ago I thought I'd do it for 3 more years, and now I feel like I might do it for 3 more years. So it's hard to say, but.
Roes grew up in New York State and has spent time living in Utah, Colorado, and Alaska. House sitting, camping, and renting. He is often on the move and running in life, season to season. So I asked him, what makes a place home?
I think home is certainly more of a state of mind than an actual place. You know, right now Juneau is home, and 2 weeks ago when we were in Colorado, that felt entirely like home.
The little pot was behind Mama. So I need to get up.
why I feel so, like, I guess, satisfied by being in this area, or really in any area I've ever lived since I've been kind of running in the mountains so much, is just like feeling that familiar relationship with the whole surrounding area. It just makes it a lot easier to like have compassion for the place that I'm spending all my time.
Jeff and I.
All right, whenever you're ready. Are you ready?
Now let's go for a walk. See all those guys. Let's go see if we can see some of those. You see them over there? You want me to go with you?
Save the camera. Whew.
The problem with porcupines is they are really slow. They're really, really slow. Not that there's anything wrong with being slow, but they can't move fast enough to get out of your way. And so you come around a corner on a trail and they're like waddling down the trail with like 3 billion spikes sticking out at you. And by the time you see them, because they're the same color as the ground, and they're always out like in this kind of light when it's almost dusk. And so to make a long story short, I've come within inches of stepping on at least a half dozen porcupines. And you kind of like, you come around a corner and you see it when you're in mid-stride, and your like foot's gonna come right down on it, and you have to like jump out of the way in midair to kind of avoid it. And it's one of those, like, eventually I'm either gonna step on one and get all these like spikes in my leg, or I'm gonna like break my ankle as I'm like jumping out of the way of them. And I just feel like there's so much more of a realistic like concern and fear on each run than I do than bears. So it's more just the irony of how like, I always get the bear question from people. But so yeah, that's my porcupine story.